You want to say the Pledge of Allegiance?
All right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll take it from here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Upper Darby Township Zoning Hearing Board. A couple of announcements before we get going. First, the board met in executive session prior to this evening's hearing to discuss questions of law related to this evening's applications and receive updates on litigation. Secondly, if you are not an applicant or their attorney or witness this evening, there are two ways for you to participate if you so choose. The first and most accessible is public comment. At the end of each application, anybody present can provide a statement in support or in opposition to the relief being requested by that application. And we'll call for public comment at that time. You can come up and we'll have you sworn in and you can tell us your thoughts on the application. If you have a particular interest, you're particularly opposed to a relief being requested, or you feel particularly strongly and you want to question the applicant's witnesses or present evidence of your own, we'll give you an opportunity at the beginning of each application to request party status. Party status allows you to present that testimony and ask those questions. It also entitles you to a copy of the board's written decision when it's issued. And if you disagree with the board's decision, you can take an appeal to the Delaware County Court of Common Pleas. If you do anticipate requesting party status for one of these applications, there are forms up on the small table near the door that we would ask you to fill out in advance, mostly so that we have your contact information in case the hearing is continued, or so we can send you the board's decision at the end. The first on the agenda this evening is application 3-2 of 25. Is anybody here for that application? For 1101 Edmonds Avenue in Drexel Hill? All right, seeing none, we'll announce that that application is being continued due to a lack of posting. The applicant did not post the property for the required 1 week in advance of this evening's hearing, and therefore the board cannot proceed on that application. So we'll continue it to the next hearing date of May 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. and re-advertise and ask that the applicant come and pick up their posters for that application. So our first application that we'll hear tonight then is 4-1 of 25, the application of Gerald R. Drass and Teresa Drass, owner applicant, for 171 South Bishop Avenue in Seacane section of Upper Darby, parcel ID number 16-13-00590-00 in the RC1 residential district, requesting the following relief: a variance from section 550-10, table 4-1, to permit a rear yard of 7 feet 8 inches where a minimum of 30 feet is required. A variance from section 550-10, table 4-1, to permit a side yard of 6 feet 6 inches where a minimum of 15 feet is required, and an aggregate side yard of 19 feet 1 inch where a minimum of 35 feet is required, and a variance from section 550-10, table 4-1, to permit a building coverage of 33.8% where a maximum of 20% is permitted. The board will enter the following exhibits. ZHB1 will be the application packet, ZHB2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB3 will be the proof of publication. The party is represented this evening by Mr. Kadamal. Is there anybody requesting party status for this application? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Mr. Kadamal.
Thank you, Mr. Laniak. Good evening, members of the board and the public and the township staff. My name is Louis Kodamal, attorney ID 76935. I am here tonight representing the applicants, Mr. Gerald R. Drass and Teresa Drass. Mr. Drass is to my right. Mrs. Drass is here. Mrs. Drass, who else is with you tonight?
This is our son-in-law, My daughter, my granddaughter, my other granddaughter.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Also present and intending to be our architectural witness is Michael Cosentino.
So, Mr. Conomal, I know that you're prepared. Since there isn't opposition for this application, we're happy to allow you to make an offer of proof and have your witnesses confirm the testimony and add anything and be available for questions if that's easier and more streamlined for you.
That would be fine. The applicants have submitted application 4-1 of 2025. Mr. Gerald R. Drass and Teresa Drass, husband and wife. They are seeking the side and rear yard dimensional setback variances and a maximum building coverage dimensional variance from ordinance section 550-10, table 4-1, as stated by the zoning hearing board's solicitor. The requested variances would enable the development and use of a proposed residential addition to an existing residence titled in the name of Mr. Drass, the address being 171 South Bishop Avenue in the C. Kane section of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. As the residential addition is intended to facilitate safe ingress and egress to and from the premises by Mr. Drass, who will testify regarding his medical needs and disabilities, as well as how the proposed residential addition would allow him to maintain independent living arrangements while being cared for by his family members. Applicants are also seeking, as an alternative form of relief, the granting of reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act and Fair Housing Act to enable the development and use of the proposed residential addition. The subject property is located in a RC-1 Special Residential Conservation District under the applicable Upper Darby Township designation. According to Delaware County Public Access records, Mr. Drass is the owner of the property as set forth in what's been included in the board's exhibit package. There is a copy of the deed to the subject property. It is, I believe, Exhibit A to the original zoning application. There is included in the packet as Exhibit B a printout from the Delaware County Public Access system with a map of the property with the subject property outlined in red ink. According to the Delaware County Public Access records, the subject property is an approximately 6,120 square foot parcel with frontage on South Bishop Avenue, and the closest street intersection being that of South Bishop Avenue and Broadway Avenue. The subject property is, as I said, zoned RC-1. It's currently improved with a single-family residence, having 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and it measures approximately 2,521 square feet. Included in the packet of exhibits presented to the board, I believe they're exhibits C, D, E, F, G, and H, are photos of the subject property taken in preparation for the application and the hearing. Applicants propose to demolish the existing approximately 260 square foot existing rear deck and replace it with a residential addition, approximately 704 square feet, to connect to the main residential dwelling. The proposed addition would feature a mudroom, bedroom, Americans with Disabilities Act compliant bathroom, laundry room, and sitting room with counter and sink. At this time, applicants are not proposing a kitchen room in the addition. I have consulted with the zoning officer, and at this time, In order to avoid the need for a special exception, the applicants are not proposing a kitchen room in the addition. Included in the board's zoning packet are plans labeled Exhibit I and Exhibit J that were prepared by their architect, Mr. Cosentino of BlackRock Design Group, LLC. Also included in the board's packet are Mr. Cosentino's current resume or CV with his professional credentials and qualifications as Exhibit 8. And for the record, I will represent Exhibit 9 is a copy of the decision previously issued by the Zoning Hearing Board of Upper Darby Township in regards to application number 4-3 of 2002, granting to the prior developer, PJA Real Estate and Development, Inc., variances to enable the construction and development of the residence that's currently situate at the subject property. Would it be the board's pleasure to have all our witnesses sworn in by the court reporter at one time?
That's fine.
Yes, just, you can just,
You just raise your hand, that's fine.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and your name?
Gerald Dress.
Your name?
Teresa Dress.
You?
Michael Costa.
Please spell your last name for me.
Sure. COSENGIN.
and with that, I'd like to call my first witness.
Go ahead.
Mr. Drass, please state your name for the record.
Gerald Robert Dress.
Speak into the mic.
Gerald
Thanks.
Robert
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Gerald Robert Dress.
There we go.
All right. And you're the owner of the house and real estate at 171 South Bishop Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. And I've given you a copy of the exhibit package, and it includes a copy of your deed. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay. You have to say yes. You can't nod because the court reporter's going to capture the testimony for the record.
Okay.
Thanks. And you were married to the other applicant, Teresa Drass?
Yes.
Okay. And she currently lives at that residence?
Yes.
Okay. And did you and Mrs. Drass engage BlackRock Design Group, LLC, and Michael Constantino as the architect to prepare the plans that are before the board this evening?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard my opening statements this evening for the board?
Yes.
And are you aware of the facts for the application for the variances based on our meeting, our phone conferences, our Zoom conference, and you're signing the application?
Yes.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, was the information that I presented in the opening statement true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been submitted to the board as exhibits 1 through 6. These are photos of zoning notices. Were they posted at the premises in the locations shown in the photos?
Yes.
And they've been posted there since, I believe, April 8th, when Mrs. Drass picked up the zoning notices?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been previously marked as Exhibit 7. I realize the board also has this as a separately numbered exhibit, but for purposes of our discussion tonight, Exhibit 7 is the application that you and Mrs. Drass have signed.
Yes.
Okay. And it sets forth your relief that we've discussed in the opening statement and as stated by the zoning hearing board's attorney.
Yes.
Okay. Do the photos that are labeled accurately reflect the postings?
Yes.
Okay. And let's take things one step at a time. Talk to us, talk to the board about who lives in the existing house at 171 South Bishop.
At this time, it's my wife, Teresa Dress, my mother-in-law, Mary Lou Hagan, And if this is able to go through, my daughter, son-in-law, and 2 grandchildren will be coming over to inhabit the main house while we move into the addition.
Okay. And is it your understanding, based on the research that you had me do with the zoning officer, the property, when you bought it, had already received variances from the township?
Yes,
Okay. Because you're asking for reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Fair Housing Act, can you tell the board about some of your medical history of disability and how the a proposed addition will improve your living conditions?
I've had morbid obesity since childhood, really. I have tried numerous times to lose weight, trying again now, of course, which has led to my knees being bone on bone. I also can't do steps. I'm out of breath, and we're worried about any stress that might be in the heart for that. So we're trying to stay with one floor. I had to have the ambulance come twice to take me to the hospital. Both times, luckily, I was on my first floor, and one time I was actually outside where they got me. But the second time, I had a leg injury, and they made me actually walk out and down my steps before I could actually be put onto the stretcher and into the ambulance. So this lower level addition would greatly improve my ability to have first responders come and render aid to me.
Have you received a disability plaque for parking?
Yes, I have a plaque from the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay. And with the proposed addition, you're going to remove the existing deck. Is that correct?
Yes, the deck isn't that old, so I'm actually going to probably donate the wood to my next door neighbor. So yes, it'll be removed, but not thrown away.
Okay. And once the addition is built, how do you anticipate having your other family members move into the main house, and you and Mrs. Drass stay in the addition and they become your caretakers?
My daughter and son-in-law would move into the main bedroom. I have 4 bedrooms in the house. My mother-in-law lives in one, and the other 2 would then become rooms for my granddaughters. And my son-in-law is a volunteer fireman, so have him in the house will be of great assistance too, I would think.
Okay. And have you asked your architect in designing the plans for the addition to have, for example, the bathroom and other safety features be compliant with or follow ADA guidelines?
Yes, because right now I don't need a wheelchair, but my brother unfortunately is now in one. So I wanted to make sure that if that ever happened to be the happenstance for myself, that it would be ready for me to go.
Okay. I'm showing you what's part of the application previously marked as exhibits B. And this is your existing driveway,
Yes,
and that's facing South Bishop.
the car, yes,
And I'm showing you what's previously marked as Exhibit D. That's the mailbox. And could you describe to the board how your house faces relative to the street and your neighbors?
in order to put 2 houses on the plot of land that they did, they turned the houses sideways. So my front door faces my next door neighbor's front door. So the front of the house faces the side of that sideways, where the driveway is on the entrance from Bishop Avenue, and that's where the garage is.
Okay. And so your front door, where in Exhibit D, the mailbox labeled 171 is by the bay window next to your front door.
Correct.
That faces directly across the front door of 173 South Bishop.
That is correct.
Okay. And then turning to Exhibit E, this is a side view of the existing deck and the deck steps to and from the yard.
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit F. Is that taken by Mrs. Drass standing on top of the deck looking out at your backyard?
Correct. That is basically the view from my back door towards the house behind us on Beechwood Avenue.
Okay. And Exhibit G is the view of the trees and the other fencing in your yard?
Correct. The fence separates us from Bishop Hill Apartments, and that other view is, again, the house at 172 Beechwood Avenue.
Okay. And finally, I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit H from behind your residence. And it's to the right, it's a bit obscured by the trees, but is that at the very right of the picture, the start of Bishop Hill?
That is the Bishop Hill Apartments, correct.
Okay. And the addition that you'd like to build would have a mudroom, bedroom, ADA compliant bathroom, laundry room, and sitting room, counter and sink. And you've described it to me as like their coffee nook.
Correct.
Okay. And have you instructed your architect and builder to design an addition that would be consistent with the architectural style of your existing residence as shown in the photos, so that it will also look comparable to that your existing house and the architectural styles of other homes in the immediate neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. Now you've purchased the property with the house on it, the way it had been built by the builder with the variances previously granted by the board in 2002. You haven't done anything previously to alter where the house is located?
No.
Okay. So you didn't create those conditions yourself. You're, living with the hardship and the conditions as the house was sold to you.
Correct.
Okay. Have you consulted with your architect to determine whether or not the addition could be larger or smaller?
Originally, we would like to have made it larger, but I don't think he or you pointed out that with trying to get these variances, that it would have been too big, and we're just trying to go with the size of what we think we need.
Okay. So in your opinion, the variances for this layout, for this addition, with those features, would be the minimum you believe is necessary to afford relief?
Yes.
Okay. You've talked to your neighbors at 172 Beechwood Avenue, Mr. and Mrs., I think it's spelled Nguyen, Mr. and Mrs. Nguyen,
Nguyen.
through their son Andrew.
Correct.
What can you represent to the board that the Nguyen family, through their son, told you?
They gave us a complete blessing. They only asked that we didn't pile building materials against the fence that separates our yard from their yard, so that there wouldn't be runoff or any damage that could have occurred to their lawn.
So you're willing to instruct your builder to avoid doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And you've contacted the resident to your rear, I believe,
Directly.
173 South Bishop Avenue, Aaron Shannon?
Correct.
And did Aaron Shannon have any objections?
Yeah, no objections or restrictions.
Okay. Will the requested variances, if granted, to your opinion, in your opinion, harm the public health, welfare, and safety?
No.
Would it make it easier for emergency responders, firemen, paramedics, whomever, to access your house in the event of an emergency?
Yes.
Or I should say access your residence addition connected to your house in the event of an emergency?
Yes.
Okay. In addition, or in the alternative, are you requesting that the board approve a reasonable accommodation under the ADA and or the Fair Housing Act to enable to move forward with the proposed residential addition for the reasons that are set forth in your testimony and in the zoning application?
Yes.
I have nothing further for Mr. Drass. All right, thank you. Any board questions for Mr. Drass?
The deck that's existing that you want to take off to put the addition, is there egress onto that deck? Like, can you get to the deck from inside the house, or do you have to exit from the side?
No, there's an entrance from the house and there's steps that go down to the yard.
Okay, so you can, right now with the deck, you can leave the house from, I guess, a door of some sort and then exit via the deck.
Yes, you could, as long as you went down the steps, yes.
Okay. And then you would come up, I guess, what I'm calling the side, but that's actually where your front door is. You're walking past to get to the frontage, essentially.
Yes.
And with I couldn't tell on the plans, but with the addition, are you, maybe this is a question for your architect, but, and if it is, I'll save it for then, but do you know, are you proposing to a replacement egress
Yes.
onto to the rear of the house from the
Yes.
addition? Okay.
We'll have the architect testify to
Okay.
that in more detail.
You're gonna lower the building.
And then the backyard as it stands, like it backs into the 173 South Bishop address that you're referring to when you said you talked to the neighbor and they had no objection?
Well, my front, the 173 South Bishop neighbor is directly across the front of the house.
Okay, okay.
So the one that faces the deck is the Beechwood address, the Beechwood neighbor.
And that's the one that had
All he
the
cared
only
about was
concern was like the runoff or.
don't wreck my lawn.
Right, got it. Okay.
Any other board questions?
None. Not for this one.
Okay, at this time, I would like to call Mr. Cosentino, and I'll take the questions from the podium.
Hey, Mr. Cudmore, you can stay in the seat so we both have you at a microphone if Mr. Costantino wants to come up to the podium.
Oh, okay, either way, that's fine.
Mr. Costantino, can you just make sure that that mic is on? We're good? Okay. Oh, I can see the green now.
It's green, so I think we're on.
Thanks.
Can the board see this?
We have it in front of us too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent. Will do.
Michael, could you please state your full name for the record?
Michael Cosentino.
And what is your job?
I'm an architect.
Okay, and you're employed by BlackRock Design Group?
Correct.
And how long have you been a registered architect?
For 14 years.
Okay. I've included in the packet what I'll represent to the board is the CV that you had given me, which is labeled Exhibit 8.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your firm's been engaged by Mr. and Mrs. Drass to prepare a plan for the proposed residential addition.
Correct.
And you've personally been involved in that plan preparation and meeting with the Drasses and going over their requests.
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'd like the board to admit Mr. Cosentino as an expert witness as a licensed architect.
Any objection from the board?
None.
So recognized as a expert in architecture.
Okay. Thank you. Michael, you've been present this evening for the hearing and heard my opening statements.
Yes.
Are they consistent with the information that either the Drasses have given to you or what you've witnessed and when you visited the property?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And the site plan for the subject property consisting of sheet 1, C1, which is before the board, and there's a floor plan with elevation drawings, that's sheet A1, which are respectively exhibits. I is the site plan, and exhibit J is the labeled concept plan. They were prepared by you.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And you've been given a copy of the applicant's application for variances, and you've read it?
Yes.
Okay. And you visited in person at the Drass's residence and met with them?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Uh, With reference to the plans, could you please describe the siting of the existing residence and the proposed residential addition at 171 South Bishop Avenue? And include in your response the information in the zoning data table that's in C1?
Sure. So currently the property has a driveway coming off of South Bishop. The dwelling unit is here. This is the backyard with the deck, and the addition is going to be back here, replacing the deck. Front door faces 173 Bishop. Broadway is down here, and Beechwood's back here. So our neighbor at 172 is right here, Beechwood. Essentially what we plan on doing is removing the deck, building our addition where that deck is. There'll be egress from the house into the addition and from the addition back into the house.
And you've heard the solicitor describe the requested setback variance and maximum building coverage variance that were announced this evening?
Yes.
And did you try and design the proposed addition so that it's the minimum size necessary in order to accommodate the Drass's proposed living arrangements?
Yeah. We're probably the smallest we could be, and still give Mr. Drass the room that he needs to maneuver into the addition.
And also comply with otherwise applicable health, habitability, building code standards?
Correct.
Okay. And given the question that was raised earlier by one of the zoning hearing board members, could you talk about what the existing ingress and egress situation is with the house, and then compare it with how it would be with the addition, and would the addition be close to being at grade?
Yes. So currently the main entrance is here on the side at between 173 and 171. The deck sits here with a set of stairs down there and a door out of this bump out. Currently, that's the way the house sits. With the addition, you'll still use the main entrance across from 173. What we have is a mudroom and a set of stairs from the main house into the addition, and we have a door from the exterior into the addition. Residents that are in the main house can basically go same as if they were, on the deck, go out that door, and then Mr. and Mrs. Drassler, when they're in this room, in this addition, can go out as well. Right now, we have stairs, but it is set up so that in the future, if we need to put in a lift, we can put in a lift for Mr. Drass if he needs it. We also provided a door on the other side so that they can get out and into the side yard to, pick up leaves and do maintenance and things of that nature. In the future, if the lift is needed, that door would go away. We would put the lift there and then work on that. We also provided a laundry room, basically for Mr. and Mrs. Drass, but also the rest of the house can use it as well because that faces the mudroom. The bathroom is set up right now with a 3-foot by 6-foot shower. Currently, what it'll be set up with is a bench and a door. If Mr. Drass in the future needs a wheelchair, it will be roll-in compliant so that he can use that in the future need be with very little modification. The sink is also will be set up at wheelchair height should he need that in the future, and that will accommodate his needs in the future should that happen.
And the bathroom is sized to be able to accommodate not just the bench, but any other safety features, grab bars and so forth?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll probably end up putting blocking in the walls for grab bars in the future. That will all have to be fleshed out during construction drawings, but we're not quite there yet.
Okay. So given where the existing house is positioned, in the building envelope relative to the existing um, front yard and side yard and rear yard, what characteristics of the property are relevant for the board to consider tonight for considering the proposed variances and the maximum for setbacks and the maximum building coverage variances? Could you talk about the site itself and the house and the topography?
Sure. Well, any lot in the RC district, minimum required is 10,000 square feet. We are only 6,100 square feet. As you can see here, these are the setbacks. These are our minimum setbacks. So as you can see, the existing residence already is over the envelope, the current buildable envelope of the property, with a small section in the rear. So basically, the site is smaller than it should be. It doesn't have the proper width. So that's why the existing builder needed his variances to build that building. And unfortunately, our addition just exacerbates that requirement.
Okay. Would the proposed residential addition be consistent with the type of design architecturally of the existing residents and other houses in the neighborhood?
Yes.
And you were there when you met with Mr. and Mrs. Drass, you saw the existing neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. The subject properties you testified to already has a regular lot size and shape as shown on the plans C1. Have I also provided you a copy with the zoning decision previously granted from the zoning
Yes.
hearing board?
Yep.
Okay. Is it your opinion that the requested variances are the minimum necessary to afford relief while complying with all applicable habitability and residential occupancy requirements and implementing ADA features?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe this addition would impair anybody else's ability to use their homes, with the addition built?
No, not at all.
And would it be easier for emergency responders, paramedics, fire, police to be able to access the addition, which would be close to being at grade? I think you had told me like 8 inches.
Yeah,
So-
we'll be 8 inches above finished grade. But there won't be a step up into the addition based on how the grade falls away. So they'll be able to walk straight in without a step, and God forbid they need to take him out, they won't have to go down any steps. They'll roll right in, right out.
So it would improve the public health, welfare, and safety if it's easier for the first responders to get in and out in the event of an emergency.
Yes.
I have nothing further for Mr. Cosentino.
Right. Any board questions?
Yeah, just point of clarification, could you flip it, what is that, to A1? The door that's being depicted to the left of the mudroom, that's proposed, that's not existing, correct? Not the main entrance, but the one next to the, I guess, west of the mudroom?
This door here?
Is yours inverted?
These are both,
Proposed, right? That's not existing? Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
yes.
And so what you're actually proposing an extra,
Yes.
extra means of, okay. And the perforated lines is the existing material that's proposed to be removed, right? So
Yes.
so under that door that's next to the mudroom, what is that? Is that like a egress from a basement? What's that?
Right now, that's a gas fireplace that actually doesn't work, so we're gonna remove that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, no further questions.
I would ask that Mrs. Drass just come up to the podium very briefly. Mrs. Drass, you heard the testimony from both your husband and Mr. Cosentino. Do you agree with what they've represented to the board tonight being true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes,
And you're the one that took the photos that were included in all the packets this evening.
I did indeed.
And at the time that you took them, did they accurately depict the conditions of the premises at the time you took them?
Yes.
I have nothing further for Mrs. Drass, and with that, I would close my case and ask that the exhibits be admitted into evidence.
All right, anything from the board for Mrs. Drass? All right, we'll move your exhibits into evidence. At this time, we'll see if there's any public comment on this application. All right, seeing none. The board ready to make a motion?
Yes,
I make a motion that we approve this application.
I do agree.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay,
and there's no
Thank you.
denial. It passes. You'll receive a written decision within 45 days.
okay, thank you.
Good luck with everything. While everybody gets situated, I'll read the notice for the next application, which is application 4-2 of 25. Application of ERMIC, ERMICH Group LLC, property owner RMCP Investments LLC, for the property located at 424-428 Borough Road in Seacane. Parcel ID number 16-13-00892-01 in the C2 Commercial District, seeking a special exception pursuant to sections 550-8A and 550-22C to permit the sales of previously owned automobiles. Board will enter the following exhibit. ZHB 1 will be the application packet, ZHB 2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB 3 will be the proof of publication. Is there anyone present this evening requesting party status for this application? Sir, if you can come up to the podium. Good evening. Your name?
William Lincoln,
William Lincoln, just like the president.
yeah.
And your address, sir?
It's 424 that you just mentioned.
How are you related to the application?
Well, I rent that property and you just represented it being changed to the different zoning.
So, yes.
The subject property is 424. The subject property has an address of 424-428. However, there are multiple users on that property. The subject property would be 428. And Mr. Lincoln, you're at 424.
Okay, understood. So the property is marked with multiple postal addresses, but it's segmented into different.
Yes, there are discrete
Rental
users
units.
within the property.
Okay, so Mr. Lincoln, you have a business address of 424 Borough.
Yes.
Right. So I would recommend to the board we grant Mr. Lincoln party status as a
Agreed.
rental. Okay, so we'll grant it. Did you happen to fill out the form that's up front? All right, I'll come grab that from you. Objection to the applicant, to the party staff?
Not at all. Again, with some aspect of trying to say, Lee, L-E-E, Stivel, S-T-I, V as in Victor, A-L-E. Supreme Court ID 46511.
All right, Mr. Lincoln, you can sit down. I'll let you know.
Oh, there
when-
was a couple other issues that I had besides that.
Related to your party status?
Yeah, I want to make sure that we're covered for the parking because we don't
So
want
I'm going to give you an opportunity to
Okay,
speak. It's
that's
just at this point in the proceedings, I'll just ask you to take a seat, then we'll bring you back up.
Again,
Um,
I don't think Mr. Lincoln is opposing the project, but he has some concerns. My question is, would you appreciate a narrative and the witness affirming, or the applicant witness affirming, or do you want to?
So since there is someone requesting party status, I will certainly leave it in your hands as to how you want to present your case to determine, just in case, however, Mr. Lincoln decides to participate. or whatever his position ends up being. I'm sure the board will always appreciate expediency as we
Brevity.
move through this. Yes.
Understood.
So, we took care of party status granting to Mr. Lincoln. We entered exhibits. I'll turn it over to Mr. Stivel to present the case in chief.
Thank you. I'll just provide a summary of the exhibits in the package. A1 is the zoning board application filed in this matter. A2 is a copy of the postings which have been on the building for more than 7 days. A3 is the lease with the executed lease for standing purposes. A4 is an aerial, which provides a representation, a photographic representation of the other types of uses in that area. A5 is two photographs, exterior elevations of the property. A6 is an interior photograph of the main building. A7 is a photograph of an interior office section, and A8 is the bathroom. And with that, I have one witness, Mr. Eric Shinicki.
If
May I
we can have
proceed?
him, we can have him sworn in.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
And how your full name?
Eric Chineke.
Can you spell the whole thing for me?
ERIC. Their last name is CHINAEKE.
Please proceed.
Mr. Shinicki, what is your business address?
My business address is 428 Borough Road.
And that is the subject property.
Yes,
Okay. And what is your occupation, sir?
I'm an entrepreneur.
And
Entrepreneur.
Thank you. What interest, well, what is your relationship to the applicant Ermic Group? And Ermic is ERMICH Group LLC?
I'm the director of the MH Group.
You're
LLC.
the member.
Yes.
And what is the relationship between the applicant Ermic Group and the subject property?
So MH Group is looking to lease the property for pre-owned used vehicle sales.
Okay. I'm going to show you a copy of Exhibit A3 for identification. Is that the lease agreement for the subject property?
Yes.
And do you know, could you describe for the board roughly where this property is situate?
So the property is situated in 428 Borough Road, and it is, I'm trying to get, give me a minute. So it's located in 428 Borough Road, and it has a general intersection in Oak Avenue, and trying to find a way of describing it.
Okay. Distance, about a half mile from Oak Avenue, South
Yes.
Oak?
Yes,
Yes. And do you know what the property is zoned?
it's zoned for C2.
C2.
Yes.
You know what, it might be easier if we switch places so that Mr. Chineke is facing the court reporter when he's speaking.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see the struggle on your face.
Rule of thumb is whatever works for Bridget works best.
Hopefully it'll work. I don't know about best. Okay. What do you propose, what type of use do you propose for the subject property?
I'm proposing to have pre-owned vehicle sales in the property.
Motor vehicle sales?
Motor vehicle, yes.
Okay. And in anticipation of this hearing, did you post the property with the notice, with the notices?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to direct your attention to Exhibit A2 for identification. Are you the photographer?
Yes.
Okay. And what does A2 depict?
It will depict a picture of the entrance of the 428 building.
And does A2 show the board where you posted the zoning notices?
Yes.
Okay.
Did show.
And are those notices there till today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you please describe the property that you leased and intend to use for the pre-owned automobile sales?
Okay, so it's a property located in 428 Borough Road. It's a corner, at the corner street. And it has 4,000 square feet warehouse and also a space within the corner as well. It also has an office space and a toilet.
Okay. When you say space, do you mean exterior space?
Yes, exterior space,
A lot.
a lot.
Okay. I'm going to direct your attention to Exhibit A4 for identification. Now, is A4 an aerial of the subject property and the surrounding buildings and uses?
Yes,
And so the board has a better understanding, which building amongst the many buildings on this picture is the subject building?
the gray roof building, you can see,
More like a brown or a crimson?
brown, yes,
Okay, and that's at the intersection where the road bends?
correct.
Okay. Now, you have the brown portion.
Yeah.
And then do you have any portion of the white roof area?
No,
Is the office located within a small area of the white,
yes, the small area before the white roof,
approximately maybe half?
yes,
Okay. And then you mentioned an open area. That would be the lot in the front of the building,
yes,
which faces Borough Road?
correct.
Okay.
With about 4 vehicles parking there.
Okay. And there's, this building you said was approximately 4,000 square feet.
Correct.
Does this building have a loading dock?
Yes, it does have.
Does it have a large door for interior access?
Yes, it does.
And that would be in the rear?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move to
Mr.
A5.
Stovall, before you move on first, do you have an extra copy that you can give Mr. Lincoln?
I wrote it on it, I know the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You have can we go to A5 for identification? What is A5 for identification?
A5 is the exterior lot.
And there's two photographs that make up A5, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Is the photographer standing at the intersection of Borough and Seacane and taking a picture to the building?
correct.
The loading dock is on the left.
Yes,
There are two awnings. On the right-hand side, you're the first awning.
yes,
Is that the door that goes into the office area?
yes, that's the door that goes in.
And with respect to your automobile sales, would you have exterior display?
Yes, I will.
And where would the exterior display go?
Within this exterior location here.
Up to the handicap ramp?
Yes,
Okay. You wouldn't go further
no,
because that would be Mr. Lincoln's area.
correct.
Okay. Let's go to the second page of A5. That is a better picture of the loading dock?
Loading dock, yes.
Okay. And then let's move to Exhibit A6. What is A6?
A6 is the interior warehouse, interior space,
And that's approximately, again, 4,000 square feet.
correct.
On the left-hand side of the building, there is a large garage door,
Yes,
and that opens to the rear.
yes,
And then Exhibit A7.
Mhm.
What is A7?
A7 is the office space.
Okay. And that's, the door from the awning goes into the office.
4 to 8, yes.
Okay. Is there another door, or are those double doors, does it go into the main area?
It goes into the interior space,
The interior of the warehouse space?
correct.
I got it. And then lastly, we have a picture of the beautiful bathroom. All right. Now, this is an existing warehouse building, is it not?
It is,
Not in beautiful condition.
well, it will need cleaning.
That's my question to you. What type of improvements do you propose?
Okay. Basically cleaning and furnishing.
Did you say furnishing?
Yes. So we are cleaning, furnishing, nothing, no structural modifications of sorts.
Painting, those types of things, freshening up the building?
Yes, but we don't intend to paint at the moment.
Okay. Would you stripe the parking lot or not stripe the parking lot?
Yes, we will stripe the parking lot to help with the parking.
How many cars do you estimate that could be on exterior sales on the parking lot itself?
So by my estimation, it could take anywhere between 10 to 15 cars.
Okay.
But we'll plan to, park based on how it allows for movement of the parked cars.
Okay. Would you also account for parking for customers and or employees?
Exactly.
Okay. Do you have any experience in the field of automotive sales?
Yes, I do have experience, 6 years experience.
6 years?
Yeah.
In an automotive dealership?
Yes.
Okay. How many employees do you expect to have at this property at any one time?
I take off one, but we might increase to like 2.
1 or potentially 2?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to exterior display, would you have interior display?
Yes, I will.
That's inside that main area, the 4,000 square foot area?
Correct.
How many vehicles do you estimate can be properly displayed in that area?
To ease movement and repacking, we're looking at 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 cars
Within the interior?
within the interior.
Okay. Do you propose to perform any mechanical repairs to the cars on the premises?
No, mechanical repairs will be outsourced.
Do you propose any type of maintenance or just general cleaning of the cars?
No form of maintenance. It's only going to be cleaning of the vehicle.
Which would entail vacuum cleaners and
Yes.
cleaning the windshield,
Yes.
things like that?
Interior cleaning as well.
Interior clean. Do you also propose to have maybe a wash bay on the interior?
Not at the beginning, but for now we plan to outsource that.
Okay. What are your proposed hours of operation?
So it's going to be 8 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays it's going to be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And then Sundays it's going to be on appointment.
Okay. Could you repeat that?
So Mondays to Friday it's going to be 8 to 6 p.m. 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Saturdays will be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then Sundays is going to be based on appointment.
Do you anticipate any particular part of the week to be a peak time for business?
Yes, evenings and the weekend.
Okay. And based on what you anticipate to be a peak time, how many potential customers would you have at one time?
1 to 2.
Okay. Will most of your customers be by appointment?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the other uses surrounding this property, I'd like you to go back to Exhibit A4 for identification and describe the uses that are within, say, 200 or 300 linear feet. Or maybe I can sort of just go through this and you can acknowledge.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Lincoln is immediately next to you under that white roof,
Yes.
okay? And then to the right of Mr. Lincoln on Borough, I believe that's some type of rehabilitation?
Yes.
So if there's some type of casualty, they rehabilitate, like a Serve Pro type of
Okay.
guy, right? Okay. Across the street, sir, there's exterior storage of motor vehicles. I think there's a boat on there. There might be some trailers, things like that. Would that be correct?
Yes.
And then there's a more densely a dense area for motor vehicles,
Yes.
correct? And then on the corner is a storage facility center. And then immediately on the same, then across the street is a railroad,
Yes.
and on the other side is some type of retail
Yeah. Retail stores.
stores.
Parking
Now, on the
lot.
same side as your building along Seacane, immediately behind you is a truck repair business,
Yeah, a truck service business.
truck service.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where we see motor vehicles stored on the exterior.
Yes.
And then there's a series of, I think, 1 or 2 daycares.
Yes.
Okay. And then if we continue out Seacane, we get to South Oak,
Correct.
which is another commercial corridor. Okay. How is your use, how is your use comparable to these other uses surrounding you?
Yeah, my proposed use, it's more or less in line with what is being used. It's not completely different from what is being used in that location.
Okay. Is your use consistent with the surrounding uses?
Yes.
Okay. Your use will be commercial. The other uses that just described are commercial in nature
Yes.
or industrial.
Industrial as well.
Yeah. Is the subject property suitable for the character and intensity of a used car sales area?
Yes.
Do you believe that you will have adequate parking for display as well as customer parking
Yes.
and parking for employees?
Correct.
And again, you don't propose any mechanical repairs at all?
No.
Okay. Will the grant of special exception cause any overcrowding of the land or create an undue concentration of population?
No.
You're not proposing any residential occupancy, are you?
No.
Will the grant of the special exception adversely affect the public health, safety, or general welfare?
No.
If you're anticipating 1 or 2 customers at any one time, what do you think the daily volume of customers would be in one day?
It could be like in one day, 3 or 4 customers because it's basically based on appointment.
I see. Will the grant of a special exception be in harmony with the spirit and purpose of the zoning code?
No.
Do you think it's consistent with the zoning code?
What was your answer to that last question?
I don't know if you understood the question. I'm going to re-ask.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Will the grant of the special exception, would permission to allow you to use the use be in harmony with the spirit of the zoning code?
Yes.
Is the proposed, will the customers and your employees be able to safely access the property
Yes.
by both motor vehicle and by foot?
Yes.
Okay. Will the proposed auto sales within the existing building in any manner be adverse to the provision of municipal services, including utilities such as sanitary and storm, water, trash, or garbage collection?
No.
What type of volume of garbage or trash do you expect?
It's just gonna be like office paperwork.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this witness. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lincoln, at this point, do you have any questions for this witness? Okay, can you come up to the podium?
Are you gonna be exporting any cars out of there through the way of transporting them on a sea container if you're selling them?
No, it's just gonna be for local sales.
Okay. Are you gonna put a fire alarm in there with all the cars in there?
Fire alarm?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're gonna have a fire alarm.
Can you repeat the question again?
Well, like in here, they have a fire alarm.
Yes.
If there's a fire,
Yes.
obviously you're storing a lot of cars in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're not gonna repair, obviously you've made that statement.
Correct.
And you're not gonna export nothing,
No.
okay? Yeah, I mean, I have other issues with the parking.
Okay, so if you have statements, I'll call you back up again.
That's
This is
fine.
just questions. Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. All right, Any board questions for this witness? Yes, we do. Okay.
So on exhibit A5, or I guess 5 and 6, I guess that garage door with the signage just says shipping and receiving with 428 on exhibit A5.
Yes.
This one, right?
Is your question referring to the large?
I didn't ask it yet. I want him to get there and then I'm gonna ask the question so he sees what I'm talking about.
Okay, give me a minute.
A5.
Okay. Is that door, I'm assuming is a garage door, is that door the other side to the garage door that we see in exhibit A6?
Yes.
No,
No?
no.
So,
Do you understand the question? The board member asked whether this door showing on A6 is opposite the door
Oh,
on.
yes, yes.
so that's like two sides to the same door, is what I'm
Yes.
asking. Like that's the outside and what we're looking at on A6 is the interior of that door?
Correct.
You guys are saying two different things, so that's what I'm trying,
Okay.
you're nodding no, you're saying no, he's saying yes.
I'm unsure because I know that there is a large door in the back of the building. Is this, on A6, is the door depicted on the left-hand side of the picture, the door
Yes.
to the back?
Yeah, so there's a door to the back where the vehicle, you can access here. But there's also another door where you can also access the same interior space, which is the shipping and receiving. There are two doors.
Okay, so there are two garage doors?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and the door that we don't see the exterior, do you have the
Yes.
exterior photo of the door that you're talking about?
Yeah, we don't have that.
Okay, because my question was gonna be how, because that's obviously it's elevated.
Yes,
With the
yeah.
loading dock, so like, how would you get cars in there?
Correct.
Based on. Yeah, I think that would help, because I was looking at the packet, like, cars in the interior, I didn't understand
He
how
can
that.
explain where the exterior door is on the rear of the building.
Okay,
That might help. There's an old railroad spur. And there is if you see on A4, the opposing white roofed areas. And then in between those white roofed areas, there's about a 30-foot area.
Yeah.
That's where the rear door is.
Yeah.
Coming out onto the old railroad spur.
Is this it here? Or is it back here? For reference.
Yeah.
This is,
It's back.
this is the front.
Because I think, right,
So if,
Steve, what you're saying, you're making sure that that door is not this, right?
right, exactly.
so this door you're seeing here,
So we go around to the back
yes.
and we flip around. It's not this door, right? Because this is 707.
No, it's not that door.
Is
And
it
then-
this door?
No, not that one. You gotta move back. Yeah, over there, there's a door there. That's where you get in.
Okay,
you get access to that?
so, okay,
Right here.
Yeah.
This is as close as I can get.
Yes.
No,
in-
off
in
to the
between.
right.
You can see. Yeah,
There.
exactly. That's
You
the
guys
door.
see that?
yeah, I see, okay,
This is pretty much as close as I can get, but
Yeah, that's the door.
okay. That helps, because I think I was disoriented initially, because I'm like,
Sorry.
I don't understand how we're getting cars in there.
Pick the
But-
car up.
Right. Okay, thank you, that's helpful.
Yep.
And Council, I think this is probably a question more for you. I know it's sort of like a hodgepodge of buildings kind of together. Is this all one tax parcel or like?
You know, it is. I may have the county tax map, but the one parcel, it's an irregular shaped parcel, which includes the Mr. Lincoln's area on the right-hand side,
Mhm.
the subject property, which is brown, and one half of that white rectangle. And then in the rear, it also includes the two, one is the five-sided buildings in the rear, and then you have the old spur. I'm trying to see if I have the May I approach?
Please. Oh, that's helpful. Okay. So, okay, so the reason I'm asking that is because I think earlier in the testimony, you stated that when you were discussing, I guess, the placement of the vehicles, that would be for sale, I think there was a statement like, we wouldn't go past a certain point because that belonged to the gentleman adjacent.
If you look on
How
the.
is that distinction? Is that by contract? How, if it's all one tax parcel, how
That will be confirmed with the landlord. Obviously, there will be some coordination between the two different leaseholds. If you look on Exhibit A5, you will see two awnings for man doors.
Mhm.
So at some point in time, you know, with respect to Mr. Lincoln's concern, there will be no parking, either customer or employee or display at all, because he needs to get vehicles, maybe I think a trailer in and out in somewhere in that area. So there will have to be coordination through the landlord on this property, just to make sure that everybody is not in the way of the operation of the other guy.
Right. And I agree. I guess my question then is like, have there been efforts to do that already? Because
No.
it seems like we're putting the cart
No,
before the horse there, right? Because we approved the use. What's stopping the applicant? There really isn't any, or I'm assuming, because there isn't anything provided to the board in terms of addressing that initially, right?
Well, I really believe that's up to the landlord and the two tenants to actually draw the line and make sure that there's no crossing. Right now, it's simply a common area. Certainly, we would not want his tractor trailer parked in our loading dock where we want to have display, vice versa. So
Right.
that will be an internal operation discussion. And, you know, if I'm Mr. Lincoln, if someone's blocking my area, I'm not paying rent. So.
And I guess along the same lines, utilizing, I'm just looking at Exhibit A4, and I think the applicant stated, I think his intent was to have somewhere between 10 or 15 cars parked in the exterior. And I am spatially challenged, I'll admit that, but I'm just looking at the cars that are depicted on Exhibit A4, and I'm having trouble kind of seeing fitting 10 in his space there. Did you and this is a question for the applicant, did you have any assessment done or any measurements taken of like how many spaces you think you can actually fit in there once you want to go in the stripe or anything of that nature?
Yeah.
Or are we just kind of sort of guessing right now?
So part of my interest in signing the lease is the capacity of the area. So I've been able to assess how many cars that could be displayed in that area.
Okay.
And like I said, it's between 10 to 15 cars. So that also include the parking of the customers and the employees.
That 10 to 15 estimate includes employees and customers.
Yes. And we wouldn't intend to congest, because if you park too much, then you cannot move it around when customers try to test the driveway.
Okay.
How many vehicles do you plan to have there to move things safely?
So if I'm to be maybe 10 to move it around, or
Exterior.
yes, exterior.
What about interior?
So interior, we're looking at 15 cars.
About 15 on the interior.
The brown area represents the covering for the
Interior.
interior.
Yes.
You can access that interior warehouse space from the front office entrance, or do you have to go into?
Yeah, you can access that through the office if you look at exhibit A7.
A7?
You can see the double door.
That's to that big space?
Yeah, it takes you to the display room.
Okay. So like customers or I guess anticipated customers would go through here, like if you wanted to show them the interior, they would go through the office space. They wouldn't have to, I guess, walk around to that rear that Josh was just showing us on.
Yeah, so that rear section is just to bring in cars and take it out.
And where are the people to park that are visiting?
So the parking in the exterior area, we share car display and that of the customers and also the employees.
Do you intend? Is it your intent to to reserve spaces for those for employees, like designate, that's the word I'm looking
Yes.
for. Is it your intent to designate
Yes,
like employee and staff parking or just?
and customer parking as well. That's why we're gonna do some marking on the floor.
What is the size spaces you intend to use? As well as the drive up to that area?
So-
If I may respond, there's a parking ordinance within the zoning
Yes, I
ordinance
know
and
that.
subdivision. I believe it requires 9 by 18 size spaces for compliant parking. It could be 10 by 20, but I believe it's 9 by 18. We'll come,
It's 9 by 18.
9 by 18. We're certainly, we intend to initially put 3 compliant parking spaces there for customers and employee. And then the rest of the area would be marked out for display. Probably not have lines for display, but, you know, approximately it's about 9 feet. You could put a car every 9 feet
You can put it for this,
for display.
oh, okay,
You don't have to worry about car doors and
Right.
opening it, yeah.
okay.
Any other board questions? Anything else you'd like to offer the board?
We would move for admission of exhibits A1 through, I believe it's A8.
So admitted.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Lincoln, at this time, if you have anything you'd like to discuss or concerns you'd like to express, any testimony you'd like to offer the board, if you can please come up to the podium. We'll have you sworn and you can offer that.
Can you raise your hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr.
So
Lincoln.
my concerns, I mean, what he wants to do, I have no problem with. The problem that I don't see happen, which I don't hope it don't happen, is out front of that property, I don't know if you can pull a picture up. There is no parking signs along Borough Road, just out front of both of these properties. And our people pull up in straight to our building. So we're concerned, one thing is if somebody comes to look at a car, as to the right there, if you can go over some more. And if you were asking earlier about how you determine the line, you see that brown spout coming down? That's actually with the previous person, that was our dividing line. So we didn't go past his half and we stayed on our half. So that's pretty much not a problem. I mean, as long as he's okay with that. But that, where the gutter is, there's no sign to say no parking. And we pull straight up into our building. We have 4 employees. We're not always there. That is a storage facility for our equipment. And at any given time in the middle of the night, we could be called out by the 911 center. We actually work for the township. We do multiple things, fires, we tear houses down. We tear buildings down. So if we get called out in the middle of the night and we're blocked, we won't be able to get out. That's one concern that I have. The other concern is that picture you brought up of that back door. He's mentioned, his attorneys mentioned that that he didn't say easement, but that's a railroad sign. And that just goes right around to our rear gate. So if you look where that white truck is right there, and the gate is right there, his door's to the right of our gate. There's probably only about 4 feet from that door to where our gate swings out for access to get the equipment out of the yard. So there's no parking, what I'm trying to say. That whole back lot where that white truck is, the dumpster you see, the brown door, that is actually an easement. And the Primus truck guy, he has a truck to the right of that picture. He parks along that wall. So there's very little room to get in and out. So if there's a car there in the middle of the night at that door, we won't be able to get out. So that's my concern right now. I mean, I just want to clear that we're okay, that he understands that.
What do you do?
We are a site and demolition company. We have storage there. Second thing to tell you why I asked about the fire alarm is because in that building is almost $800,000 worth of machinery, heavy equipment that we use in the event that we're called out on a job. By 911, this township, Darby Township, Clifton Heights. So we can't have blockage of that, to get our assets out of the garage. So that's my main concern. And I said something about the fire alarm. We're heavily alarmed in there. I think we have 3 different systems because we see a lot of houses burned down, a lot of buildings burned down, and we tear down. So we make sure we're protecting our equipment. That's why I asked earlier about the fire alarm. You're going to have 15 cars in the garage, God forbid, in the middle of the night. Because the only thing that separates us from him, there's not a firewall. There's a roll-up steel door with a ramp from our side because we're lower. So the building's kind of elevations are different. His elevation's probably 2 feet higher than ours. So there, in the past, the steel door is closed. It has been for years, but all it is a roll-up steel door. So, I mean, if there's a fire in there, we stand to lose a lot. Yeah, we're insured, I understand that, but to replace this stuff takes a while, and they're my concerns, the parking and that access to that back of that building. That's pretty much where I'm at with it.
We're okay with the conditions that there's no parking in the rear of the rear of the building. We're certainly fine with
I
that.
mean, he has the right to access it. I'm not saying he doesn't. And we aren't always in and out of that back gate, but 3 o'clock in the morning, we possibly could. And if someone left a car there, then we're going to have, we also own a wrecker company, we would have to send one of the wreckers down there and move it, which I don't want to do that, you know what I mean?
Mr. Stovall, do you have any questions for Mr. Lincoln?
No, none at
Right.
all.
Does the board?
That's basically where I'm at.
We certainly would have the same concern as Mr. Lincoln does, because we're going to have $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 of inventory sitting in our side. We would have a concern about fire from his side as well. So it's,
Both subject to lose.
Yes.
both,
In
yes,
fact.
right.
Any board questions for Mr. Lincoln?
In the front that you were talking about, the parking, is that all just one big curb cut, or is that?
There's a half a curb there. If he brings it up, you'll see it. And I know he mentioned about across the street, if you bring it up, that's Herbie's Towing. Your guys, the wrecks in the township go there. So there is access, you could, where that white van is, if you back it up, you can get a better turn of picture around.
There's a rolled curb all the way across, and then a depressed area.
So they're in and out all night too. So he has parking issues, but it's marked. If someone's parked for the train or something in front of here, he can't get in and out of his. So that whole it's tight right there, obviously. That's why you can't really, right where you just had there, that last picture, right there, our guys are pulled in. If they get called out and go in, there's cars parked there in the middle of the night, that would be our concern. How are we gonna, obviously we'd park over at Herbie's, we get along with them guys, but they're the issues that I have. So,
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln.
yep, thank you, guys.
Anything else from the board?
I think we ought to go to
Is there-
executive session.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this? And we'll just note for the record that I don't think there is. You want to go into executive session? Okay, we'll recess into executive session. All right, we'll go back on the record. Does the board have a motion?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application on the with the three following conditions. That there will be, no street parking of inventory vehicles, that there would be no, parking in the rear of the property, and that that the parking in the front of the property is limited to 10 cars.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. The application is approved with conditions. You'll receive a written decision within 45 days.
Ten cars. Whether the people were driving them, or whether they're items for sale.
Oh, you're asking if it only applies to inventory? The 10 cars is just 10 cars for, the only thing that's specific to, the only condition that was specific to inventory is the street parking.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other business before the board tonight. Is a motion to adjourn?
Motion